Well, you're
We
talking about
changed
being
that.
theatrical, and they dress up in costumes and they had fireworks and histrionics on the stage. You guys were theatrical in the sense that you could feel the love with you and Clarence and Bruce. I mean, there was a team, and you could feel that you guys really liked each other, and you guys really loved being on stage performing. And the other thing that Bruce did that I hadn't seen before was he told stories. You get,
Yeah,
okay, well, I remember when I met Clarence and all that, and it's like, well, nobody did that.
yeah,
And they
yeah.
were great stories, and it was like reading a book almost with a little sidetrack, and it just was something that I hadn't seen before, and I don't know that too many people had.
No, no, that was the beginning of a complete transformation in his performance and also in his identity. Just by fronting the band, which is why I joined the band. He said, he only had 7 gigs booked because the career was kind of, taking a turn for the worse there, and that's why I left the Jukes to do those 7 gigs with him. Ended up staying 7 years, but it was very very temporary, very fragile at that point. So he made the radical decision to become this performer. He started off, when I first met him, he's just the most shy, introverted guy you ever met in your life, and it's hard to imagine. But you picture the early grunge guys, with the long hair, and you can't even see their faces, and they're just staring down, at their shoes, and and that was him.
Well, yeah, Stevie, Bruce used to call when I was doing overnights. Bruce used to call me, like, maybe once a week, and we'd have these long conversations, and I'd be segueing records and talking to him, and he was so shy and so modest and self-effacing, and he
Yeah,
really had trouble putting words together. It was like, well, and
yeah,
and
yeah.
and you see him now, and he's talking with Barack Obama, and he is as articulate as the president of the United States. And I'm going, wait a minute, where did this guy come from?
Well, that was, yeah, and I when I watched that development happen. From a ringside seat. Obviously, being my best friend the entire time. But this was the beginning of him coming out, and finding this other part of his personality that was quite outgoing, and it was a very ballsy move just to be the front man, because at that point, guitar is both your identity at that point, but it's also a little bit of a barrier between you and the audience, and especially in those days, there was no wireless, so you were literally, you were literally tethered to your amplifier.
Yeah.
You can only do so much, right? So now he's completely liberated, and my very shy friend is suddenly walking on the tables in the bottom line and tipping over people's food. And I was like, man, this is different. And even the band's identity itself, if you look at the pictures on the first 2 albums, they're like, in sandals and short pants, and they look like Jimmy Buffett's crew, or something. And suddenly we're in suits, and suddenly we're James Brown's backup group,